John's here, as always.
I'm Brad.
Brad's actually here.
Yeah. Brad is actually here.
I've been here the last couple of podcasts.
I mean, yeah. Jake's here.
And I'm Grant who's here, yes.
We were going to have a couple guest stars tonight, but they both flaked.
They're great people.
They're great people.
They're great people.
They're good friends. I'm not saying that sarcastically. They are good friends.
They're good
just
friends.
Flaked. I just wouldn't say it sarcastically.
Friends. You
They're-
gotta put air quotes.
They're good friends.
Oh, by the way, last episode we introduced Sam, and Sam is actually Jake's twin brother. That wasn't a joke or a bit. They're actually twin brothers. We've just never had him on the podcast before.
Yeah, he stays in his room all the time.
It would have been a better gimmick if they were identical twins and they sounded exactly the same and we couldn't distinguish, but...
That would be if I brought Max on the podcast.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
That would work.
We're identical twins.
Or Jake could just be, talking in two different perspectives.
Well, we do have Jake's other identical twin brother with us, Mark.
Hi.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Mark?
Hey, I'm Mark.
I mean, Ekaj?
Ekaj?
Yeah, Ekaj.
Is he like backwards,
Yeah,
Jake?
he was thinking of Jake backwards. Jake has to speak in that, backwards.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, meat.
So who here has seen Enter the Void?
God, you were talking about Another Void?
Enter the Void. I think we've all seen it except Brad.
I don't remember it. I just remember a lot of fucking weird imagery.
Yeah.
But this was it's a crazy movie. If
Yeah.
you haven't seen it, you should... I don't
It made
know,
me
actually.
feel sick. That's why I stopped
first,
watching
if you
it.
want to watch a movie that is similar and really dark and depressing as Enter the Void is, watch Requiem for a Dream. And then, if you can make it through that and think you could stand more, then watch Enter the Void. Enter the Void is way crazier, though.
That's a good point. Both those movies they have similar subject matter. They deal with drugs.
Drug use, yeah.
And they're both really intense. But I'd say Enter the Void is more intense than Requiem for a Dream.
Guys, what's a better scene in Requiem for a Dream? The refrigerator scene or ass to ass?
Ass to ass.
Ass.
Because that
It's just an
scene is in
instant
the midst
classic.
of this compilation where it's jumping between all of the shit that the characters are going through, and it's super fucking depressing. Because they keep cutting between ass to ass and that shit getting electroshock therapy.
But I think Requiem for a Dream is more depressing than Enter the Void.
Oh
is.
yeah, Requiem for a Dream is sad. It's just a sad, depressing thing. Yeah, the shit that happens in Enter the Void is also sad, but in a way, it's kind of, you don't feel as much sympathy because these people are really degenerate pieces of shit for the most part, except for Linda. She's redeemable, but everyone else is so shitty and awful. God, his fucking... I love his friend, though, Alex. The way he talks and that really weird accent of his. Hey, read a book. I can't do his accent. It's just it's this raspy, English Australian thing that is just so hard to place.
So basically, Enter the Void came out in 2009. It's basically about... It's in a first-person point of view, the whole movie.
Well, kind of. Well, it switches
I'd
between...
say the whole movie, but I don't want to spoil things.
Well, I'm just going to talk about the POV, because it's in about 3 parts. The first section is all POV. The second section is over-the-shoulder shots of the same character. And then the third section are these more omniscient, roaming POV shots. Mm-hmm. Kind of like David Fincher's movies.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies where it's not one take, because that would be impossible, but it appears that way.
Yeah.
Because of how it is. So it basically follows this person who takes psychedelics a lot.
He's
and
a
the movie
drug dealer,
the movie basically opens with him doing DMT, and you actually get to see, his hallucinations.
Well, first, before that, you get the best opening title credits of any movie ever.
Oh, yeah.
I love the opening title credits for that movie.
That fucking shitty horror movie ripped it off. #horror.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's just typography porn, and it's going so fast and playing this crazy electronic music. It's crazy looking. Mm-hmm. I love it. That's that's the only part of the movie I'd want to watch again. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just think it's so much, and it's so
very
intense, and it really draws you in that you're kind of a little rattled by the end of it, of all this shit you just watched, and I don't know. I don't think I could ever watch the whole thing again.
Yeah, as far as recommending it, I don't think I'd recommend it to just anybody. I definitely recommend it if you've taken... Well, If you like intense movies,
I think you might understand it a little bit more if you like psychedelics or something. Or
Yeah,
something
I
but
think it clicks with you.
absolutely do not take psychedelics while watching this movie.
No,
that would be horrifying.
You'll freak out. You'll have a bad time.
It's especially because the movie's really fucked
But
up.
I think it really clicks with people that have taken psychedelics because of the accuracy of its hallucinations that it tries to simulate.
Though I don't think I'll ever be able to take psychedelics again and not feel like a degenerate piece of shit after watching that movie. Because, like, just the shit that guy does is so fucking weird. And that drug dealer that he buys his shit from.
Well, that character doesn't have a very healtty life either.
Oh, yeah, Oscar's really fucked up.
Because all he does is take psychedelics and deal psychedelics.
Yeah, in the opening scene, he mentions that he had multiple tabs of LSD and then later took a hit of DMT. Like, that's super unhealthy and bad.
For context, LSD is pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking intense. And it lasts like 8 hours at least. But DMT is literally the most intense psychedelic you can really get.
It's released into your brain when you die.
Yeah, DMT is actually the chemical that apparently your brain releases at the moment of death.
I've heard also that it releases a very tiny amount when you dream or when you're born. It's this very dubious thing. It's very similar to tryptamine.
It's also in
it's
a
a
lot of
tryptamine
stuff
analog.
with shamanism, like ayahuasca, peyote, all that I think is DMT.
Peyote's DMT?
The peyote is mescaline.
Oh, mescaline.
But ayahuasca is DMT.
Ayahuasca is DMT.
But DMT actually, it was called the businessman's trip in the 60s because it only lasts for I think like 15 minutes ish. But apparently it's like a whole breadth of a psychedelic experience in that 15-minute time span. It feels like way longer. Like people, if you take an acid or shrooms or something like that, you'll know that time seems to kind of stretch out where. It only lasts for 8 hours to 12 hours ish, but it definitely feels like a lot longer. It feels almost like a whole day. Whereas DMT is, I can't speak from experience because I've never done DMT. I don't know where the fuck you're supposed to get DMT for one.
Well, one of our friends was offered a pipe which he thought was weed at a party. So it was this house party.
Shit.
He was offered a pipe that he thought was weed and he was about to hit it. And then the dude's like, "Man, are you ready to trip?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Dude, that's DMT in there." And he's
Holy
like,
shit.
"Oh, no, I'm not doing that. No thanks." This dude was just at a house party, just casually fucking losing his mind.
Was that Eric?
I don't know who it was. It was Zerg.
Oh, God,
Zerg
that's
was offered
fucked
that.
up. That's so weird.
Are you sure it wasn't Derry? I thought Derry was talking about that.
I don't exactly know what, but
It might have happened to Derry too, but I remember Zerg told me that he
does
was offered
DMT look like weed?
In the movie Enter the Void,
Yeah,
he
it
smokes
looks
DMT and it looks just like if it was weed or something.
Because I've heard it's like a powder, and you're also supposed to put tobacco in there too, so you
Probably
have like
different
something
ways.
it burns through, or something to that effect. You don't want to.
See, I'm not even interested in learning how to do DMT because I'll never do it.
Yeah, it seems really fucked up. But that's the thing, that it's also with Enter the Void. So again, the opening beyond the title credits is like the first major thing that happens is he smokes DMTs, and there's just this visual montage that just goes on and fucking on and on, and it's so long. And they're just like some of the visual stuff that happens, like where it's like CGI, not like actual like people moving around and people talking and stuff, like are crazy, and they go on for so fucking. There's like a strobe effect that goes on for almost what feels like a whole minute,
yeah.
and it's so fucking intense.
There are sequences of the movie where it's just light, and it's playing with different shades of color and a lot of strobe lights. I really want to. When I watched that movie, it was in Grant's basement at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I really wish I watched the movie with headphones on.
Oh yeah.
Because I could tell they were playing a lot with audio too.
There's some really weird.
There were probably
like,
binaural,
whooshing
like-
and like.
Beats in there.
Yeah, they were probably binaural shit.
What's binaural? What is the fuck you
You
talking
ever heard of
about?
binaural? So have you ever heard of audio drugs?
No. What are you talking about?
Really?
So there's these.
Do you mean like infrasound?
Well, it's like these
ultra low
MP3
frequency?
files. You're supposed to listen with stereo headphones,
Okay.
and it'll play one tone in one ear and one tone in the other, and it's supposed to influence you psychologically to make you feel like you're tripping or.
Oh, like trick your brain because there's
Yeah.
two different sounds. Oh, that's interesting.
Pretty much what it is
Is that just ASMR?
it's
it's kind of related.
It's a single. It's usually like a sine wave on like your left ear, and then there's one that's either like a slightly different frequency It's a very slightly different frequency, and then judging by like how different it is, it gives different effects. But it's playing that other sine frequency on the other ear.
That is incredibly bizarre.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if like someone's able to refine that, and then eventually we go to the future where you're buying like MP3 files off of the Silk Road or something?
But the thing is, I heard about audio drugs in middle school through 4chan, and I thought it was a cool edgy kid for finding them and being able to torrent them, not pay for them. I torrented these MP3 files, and I convinced myself like listening to it, I'm like, oh my god, dude, I'm so high from this. And it really, I've tried it off and on, and it's just never affected me really in any way.
It's not even like a weird like ASMR like tingle down the neck.
I mean,
feeling.
yeah, it does like feel kind of weird, and it makes kind of your head feel like it's vibrating a little bit, but it's not like any.
Yeah.
But it's more of an explanation that your brain's just kind of confused.
Yeah,
that
it doesn't really know what
it's
it's
into,
listening to.
Because they'll like slightly go out of sync, but since they're played on two different ears, it's not like the waves are actually interacting with each other.
The only thing that reminds me of that is actual tripping in a way is the Gansfeld effect. Do you guys know what that is? That's when you...
The ping pong balls.
Yeah,
sensory
you
deprivation.
Tape,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
a sensory deprivation thing where you tape ping pong ball halves to your eyes, over your eyes, and then you have headphones on and you have a hooked to a radio that's tuned to static, and you just sit there, and eventually your brain will get like so freaked out from all the sensory deprivation that it'll just start making you hallucinate. I can't even imagine.
Sensory deprivation is crazy. Someday I want to be in a sensory deprivation tank.
Oh, I
where you
want to
just-
do that.
You
Yeah.
float in salt water.
There was a good what's that? Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, which is the Vice show where it's this guy Hamilton Morris, this guy looks like he's taking way too many drugs. He's like really tall. He's incredibly fucking skinny. We should watch one of those after this just so I can show you how fucked up that guy looks. Like he's so skinny, he's so tall, he looks so gaunt and has like no color to him and has this really weird monotonous voice. And he has a whole series on Vice where he just goes to places around the world and takes the drugs there. I mean, there's some more interesting ones where like he talks about people taking Ambien who have like traumatic brain injuries and it's like really helping them. And he just, obviously he's not. But there's other ones where he uses the drug itself. And one of them is the sleep deprivation where it's him talking about doing it. And he goes to see Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan has a sleep deprivation tank in his house. And then he says, okay, before you do this, you gotta eat this weed cookie, dude.
You ever seen the movie Altered States?
That's the one where the guy goes in the tank and he eats the goat, right?
Goes in the tank and eats the goat.
He doesn't eat the goat in the tank, but he gets out of the tank, is all fucked up, and he eats a goat, I want to say.
Well, it's a movie it's a B movie that came out in the 80s about a scientist experimenting with sleep deprivation. And I think at one point he takes LSD and goes into a sleep deprivation
that
chamber.
would be awful.
The hell, dude?
No, I wonder...
And it gets into satanic shit.
I wonder if they have a place...
wacky shit.
They probably have a new age spa or something in Twin Cities that has sensory deprivation.
sure.
Check that
Yeah,
out.
there probably is.
I mean, Steph Curry, who I know you guys aren't big sports guys, but Steph Curry is the name in basketball right now. He's like considered one of the best shooters in basketball. He plays for Golden State. He goes to one of those like once every 2 weeks to do a sensory deprivation float. So it's not the most fringe thing ever, but it's certainly not the most mainstream thing ever.
I want to try going into a sleep deprivation tank, just normally, standard, and see if I can handle it. And then if I can handle it, I want to try dropping acid, doing the Gansfeld effect, so putting ping pong
All
balls
at
over
once.
my eyes and shit, and just make sure all my senses
You
are
just
totally
want to make
eliminated.
yourself
Totally
go
passed out.
insane or what?
I don't know.
Insanity trip.
I mean, at that point when all your senses are gone and you're just seeing blackness and not hearing anything.
Like, what do you think would happen? If
I feel
you're
like
on
that's
the only
LSD,
thing to do- the
You're
only
not seeing anything.
The only thing to do would be to let your mind race. So I'm just wondering
what you think of? Yeah.
what would happen if I would start seeing like fractals or something,
Yeah.
or like travel back in time to
Fourth dimension.
childhood or something. I want
Have
to see
an
what would
out-of-body,
happen.
an out-of-body experience.
You'll be able to see in 4 dimensions.
Because I don't think there's a way that it'll permanently affect you or anything, or
I don't know.
No.
I feel
I
like
mean,
that combination of shit might
maybe I'll
cross the
develop.
wrong wires in some way, shape, or form.
Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
But
No, but though you're in those tanks for like hours, like 5 hours, I think.
because
is,
it takes a while to like.
to kick in
Yeah.
per se. But it must be a really bizarre feeling though, because it's all like really heavily concentrated salt water, so you're just floating there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything really feels quite like it. You know, it must be just bizarre as all
The
hell.
Dead Sea.
Yeah, Dead Sea, I suppose. Except the Dead Sea, you got all the air. You're in a I
Yeah.
feel like if I was in a sensory deprivation tank, I would be really stressed out, because you're in a really enclosed environment, and it's dark, and you're just in water, and you're sitting there for hours. Like, imagine if you go in there, and after like the first 20 minutes, you have to take a piss. Oh, that must be
You
awful.
right in there.
Yeah, I mean, if
Well,
you're-
you pee in there and then you're sitting in your urine. For
Yeah,
hours.
dude.
no, but in
That's what I
the
do every day.
in the Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia episode, he talks about. He asks a guy who runs a place. He says, like, you make sure people don't pee in the tank, right? He says, no, that's an $800 mistake, because there's $800 worth of fucking Epsom salt in the water.
Oh, so if you pee in it, they have to replace all that.
Yeah, and you
Wow.
get charged for it. Isn't that fucked?
I'm just imagining them having little salt shakers and just, now we have to shake all this up. Can't you just unscrew the top? No, that's against policy. We need to just lightly salt the water until...
I gotta drop some rice grains in it to make sure it's not moist. Oh my god. No, we have to look that up. We gotta find if there's a sensory deprivation tank.
There's definitely one.
I don't know, they got escape rooms in this city, so we probably can find sensory deprivation tanks. I feel like this attract a similar audience.
I want to do one of those escape rooms.
I know, they seem really, really cool.
So anybody who doesn't know, an escape room is like, it's a real life puzzle game, pretty much.
So you're like locked in a room and you have to get out and you have to solve a bunch of puzzles for yourself.
They set up a scenario for you, like you gotta find the code in this amount of time, and you probably go to different rooms. Like, to get out of this room, you need to, I don't know, pull this book out of the bookshelf, and to figure out which book it is, you look
solve
at
this
clues.
Dumb riddle or math puzzle.
Solve a riddle or some shit like that.
There's actually one like right
Yeah.
next to the practice space, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
right
do
by
that.
the brewery there.
It's probably expensive as shit.
What if what if someone got gay porn actors to go into one of those? Cause don't they watch you? Like there's surveillance.
They
cameras
gotta,
and shit.
because
There
they
must
make
be,
sure you're
yeah.
not like trash and shit or.
So there's
anything.
surveillance cameras. So what if you got gay porn actors to go in there and then act like they're trying to figure it out, and then eventually just start stripping off their
slowly
clothes?
devolves into
Yeah.
a porno.
I don't know how to get through the store. Maybe we should take our shirts off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna grease each
that's
other
true.
up. Maybe you'll fit through the.
Maybe we can slide through the crack in the door if you grease yourself up with this olive oil.
You're missing a
And
few
then-
spots.
Yeah, you missed a few spots. Oh, you missed your abs there. You have nice abs, by the way. Thanks, man.
Thanks. You do too.
I can't fit. Oh, it must be the pants. You need less layers as you can.
Yeah.
Dude, just
It
take off
needs-
your pants.
It just needs to be skin on door contact.
I'm not gonna take off my pants. No, dude, I'll take off mine too. All right.
I'll take off mine so you feel safe.
And then
Christ.
2 hours later, there's security dragging them out of the building.
I wonder if it's cameras or maybe they have to have someone in the room with you who just stands there. Well, maybe like what happened. I mean, imagine if there's some riddle that you just can't do. Like, that you're just completely stuck. Then what do? You just sit there and wait for it to be over.
Dude, what about a horror escape room? Like a haunted house and escape
be
room
one,
mixed
yeah.
together.
Like
you
one
have
I
a
saw
time
where
limit.
it's like a prison break scenario or something like that, where you're moving from multiple rooms and you have to traverse stuff or something to that effect.
You know what I want to see haunted house do more? I want to see haunted houses get more psychological.
Oh yeah.
Because haunted houses right now, I understand almost everybody goes to a haunted house expecting to be scared,
Yeah.
expecting to see like zombies or a guy with a chainsaw, you know what I mean? But I want to see one where, it's a normal haunted house, right?
Yeah.
But then you get to a room. Maybe it pretends to be the exit, or basically it's a normal room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going through all these intense rooms with intense shit in them, right? And then you just get to this normal, just brightly lit room.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's like a dude in the corner just reading a newspaper or something.
Oh, like a really atmospheric. I don't know. I heard someone talk about an escape room we went to where there was like a guy like pretending to rape like a disfigured woman or something really really fucked
What
up,
the
and
fuck?
like people were forced to watch that or something. Like something
that's scary.
really disturbing. Like
That's scary.
yeah, I don't know, but I mean, you can do it. You can have it both. You can have that psychological stuff and still have those stupid jump scares. There's a fucking video of these NBA players going through a haunted house, and there's the standard people jumping out from walls and doing shit. And then there's one point where this fucking like mental patient looking dude with a chainsaw is just running after them, and they're just hauling ass down this hallway.
What if you had a haunted house in a building where to exit the building you kind of gotta go through this hallway and almost walk around a bit, like it's almost convoluted to get out of the exit,
like
right?
a labyrinth. Like you don't make it
Maybe
like a
something
point
like
A to
that.
point B thing. You make it more of a big open thing.
But my idea is that
They bolt the doors behind you.
to fake out the people in the haunted house.
Yeah.
So you make them believe it's the exit, right? And right when they believe they're out of it, somehow you bring them back. You know
Pull
what I
Grave
mean?
Encounters too.
They end up in like
Yeah.
the beginning.
And then they have to get out. They have to like go to the basement, and they'll go for like miles in some other building that's off.
Like, what if it was like a haunted house where you had to reserve a time, right? It's not just open to the public; anyone can come in at a time. You reserve a time, and it lasts like 45 minutes or something like that, right? So you actually exit the building, and then they have people there being like, how did you handle the haunted house? Was it scary? All that? Lull you into, okay, now time to walk back to the car, right? But then what if they stage a car accident? So
Oh
you
my
exit,
God.
and then you think there's a real car accident that just happened, right?
It's not just a haunted house; it's fucking haunted reality.
Sounds like
Yeah. And so people are like, come help! Like there's people in pain here. I don't know how you'd spin it past that, but
yeah.
that's a way you could fake.
I feel like
out.
there'd be a way.
And it's a
to bring
demon baby.
The surreal.
It's someone that's pregnant and they're
Like,
giving birth
do you know
to
what
a
that
demon
reminds
baby.
me of? Do you remember at the high school where you're all supposed to watch that drunk driving thing? We all were brought out to the track with at the football field.
Were we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you not remember this?
No,
Did you not go?
maybe I did.
I thought everyone had to go.
Wait,
Am I
for
crazy? They
I don't
had a
remember them
thing in
bringing
our high
us
school.
anywhere.
They've done this every
I
year,
remember it.
where it's a drunk driving awareness thing, and the first part of it is they select a bunch of students. They basically just pick the most popular people at the school at the time, or the people who've just been the most exposed, I guess. Like they've done a lot of like club stuff and student council stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they simulated a car crash in there. They actually had like a wrecked car or something.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like,
they-
all the
they
people
filmed it.
acting and something like that. Yeah, they filmed
Oh,
it. But
okay. Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember
when they filmed it, they had, I think I don't know if it was everybody in the school, or I think it might have been just the upperclassmen, and it was like all of them watching this, and it was like trying to bring you into it, even though it just felt so bizarre because it's like obviously this isn't real, and we're all sitting here, and a lot of people were just talking to each other like on their phones during it, which is really kind of shitty. No, I just remember that one of the paramedics in there was like running with one of those like. I guess like a stretcher, like something you hoist someone up on. And they're running with it, and they fucking face planted. Look here, and it was fucking hilarious, and it totally took everybody out of it. It was so good. And remember they had the people weren't in school for that time, or something like that, and then they had them like sit out between the buildings. And they would have like weird white makeup on. They were holding like portraits of themselves and all this shit.
Remember when they gathered the whole school together to watch a presentation on why you shouldn't sack tap people?
Yeah.
On sack tapping?
Yeah, they show like
So it
news
was in
clips of
middle
a guy
school.
who like had to lose his testicle or something
Yeah.
because he got sack tapped so hard.
So, sack tapping is when you basically just punch somebody in the balls.
Yeah,
That's all it is. You come up to your friend when they're not expecting it and you hit them in the
Yeah,
nuts.
it's just
And
Pulling
people
Johnny
thought it was
Cage.
funny for some reason because they're teenagers and middle schoolers. So they gathered the whole school, diverted class time,
yeah.
to show this huge presentation on why you shouldn't hit people in the nuts. And they were dramatizing it so
It
much.
was pretty surreal. Yeah.
They were so like, nobody laugh. This is not funny, and everybody was just like
Yeah, like
trying not to laugh.
you can
This
understand
little
you
boy
can
knows
understand
how
the
to
drunk
shoot
driving
balls.
stuff. You can understand when they bring in speakers, do
Yeah.
the drunk driving stuff. This was so fucking dumb.
So
Especially
bizarre.
I couldn't even think of the last time I heard of someone getting punched in the nuts. It seemed like
Yeah.
someone just no one did anymore.
No, there was I think in a part of the presentation that it had like an interview with a kid who was sack tapped. He was like,
Yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
talking
he
about.
touched me, he hit me in the testicles and it really hurt.
It's
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, I don't agree that kids should be assaulting each other, but it's just so ridiculous.
That would be a good because like we've had the senior pranks and at least at our school the senior pranks were all really stupid. Like they would like throw glitter all over everything, or they would like paint a fucking rock. I think that was our year's.
What a
thing.
prank.
There was a
They
rock.
paint a
that had
rock.
been there and they painted it and they wrote all their names on it or something. And
I thought we
other
took
year-
down that one tree, almost, and then like
Oh,
people
yeah.
got caught.
something, but it's always something really fucking lame, you know? It would be hilarious if it was like a more like viral internet thing. Like what they did is like they try and like convince the administrators there's like this really horrible trend going on.
Oh yeah.
Like cheesing or something, and then and then you spread it. Like no, like try and take the cheesing thing from South Park, you know, where they inhale the cat piss and try and convince them that it's real.
Yeah, we found out about it through South Park. Like, South Park said it was a joke, but we tried it for real and it actually works.
You can see all this heavy metal shit after watching it. Oh my god. No, that would be really fucking hilarious. Have you guys watched American Vandal yet?
No.
Because American Vandal, for those who aren't in the know, is a Netflix series that's styled as like a true crime sort of show, a la Making a Murderer, where it's about this act of vandalism at a school where this person sprays dicks over all these staff cars, and then they all think it's this one student, and it's about like clearing, and he gets expelled from the school. It's about clearing his name. I want to see people do that at our high school, like film like a documentary and like hype up some, maybe not like a true crime style thing, but like make a documentary about the school, but make it some weird, surreal thing that's not actually going on. I don't know. That'd be better than throwing glitter everywhere and painting a fucking rock.
I think the best high school pranks are the ones that
we should have done a cool high school prank, but we were too lazy.
Yeah.
Like I heard about this one prank where somehow a student got their car on top of the roof.
Oh, like they disassembled it or something?
Yeah, they disassembled it or something.
I mean, I've heard the thing about you bringing cows upstairs.
Yeah,
and cows can't walk downstairs, apparently.
That's a good example, because, well, with the car, they needed to actually rent a crane or hire somebody with a crane to pick up that car and get it off the roof. What? So that's a huge inconvenience to the administration, right?
Yeah,
I think those are the best kind of pranks.
I don't know though, because those pranks are just money. That's just throwing money at something. You want to be clever.
Like do something fucked up on the roof, like make it look like there's a satanic ritual going up on there. Like
start a cult. That's why you've seen your prank.
Start a cult
and see how serious you can make it.
Make like a fake cult and convince all the teachers that it's a real cult.
But this has to be like a year-round thing. You have to start this very you throw like you market it as like a school club, like a wellness club or something like that. It's actually a fucking cult.
Mm-hmm. Where are we gonna like?
And then you pay other students, or you get people that you know to like just hype it up and stuff like that. And then you get you try and attract a big audience to your club, and then it's just you go full cult. Like robes and everything.
It's like, okay, here's our uniforms, and it's just fucking black robes.
That'd be great. That'd be really good.
Why did we do this? Why were we lazy fucks in high school? We could have been doing crazy shit.
I would have loved doing something like that.
Okay, there's this one memory I can remember was talking before 9/16, and I remember we had the idea of like putting and I thought we were gonna post anime like all around the school too.
Oh yeah, that was something we were gonna do. We were just gonna. Well, I don't know what the idea
Yahweh
was.
Art or something, or is that what it's called? Yahweh?
Yeah, I don't know.
And you
something like
post that all over the school.
Dude, that'd be a great idea. What if? That's what it was. We were gonna make fake posters for the anime club.
Yeah, that's right.
With hentai or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Except there are cameras in the school, and that kind of
Well, there's blind spots. I forgot I was gonna do this. I was gonna make a map of all the security cameras in the school, and then figure out where the most likely blind spots were, and then we could make a plan from there.
Yeah.
Because what would have really been cool was that just start making normal fake anime club posters, right? Just normal shit, and then slowly get more racy with it.
Yeah.
Like maybe like a normal anime girl for the first, round of them, and then the second one maybe she's in a swimsuit, or it's like they're at the beach or something, and then another one it's
you need to make it a collage of image, and you have like Naruto and like bigger more popular anime in the foreground, but then like smaller pictures in the background if you really look at it are like straight up hentai, it's not no shame.
And then eventually that's the collages are a good idea. So eventually you start using less normal anime and more hentai pictures in the collages, and see how long it takes for someone to notice. And the whole thing,
and act totally like ignorant about it. It's like, what are you talking about? That's anime.
Yeah.
Do you not appreciate art?
They start harassing the anime club for posting porn all over the school.
Just like trying to get the school wrapped up in a massive like First Amendment like legal battle or something like that.
Yeah, what if that happened and you just imagine it like, oh, they'll find out, take them down, and then it'll be the end of it, right? But what if the anime club started defending it? Like, no, this is our right to express artistically. We should not be, and it starts this whole like in your school. They do this whole battle of it, right? And eventually the anime club wins, and they're allowed to just post hentai everywhere they want.
We should have joined the anime club instead of robotics.
And then you tell the news. You tell the news about it, and the news makes a story about it, and then other news organizations pick up that story, and then schools all across the country, anime clubs are posting hentai.
And then eventually you just come out and say, yeah, it was just a prank. Like, we don't know what have God wrought. What is this?
You come out and say that, like, it was just a prank, we wanted to make fun of the anime club, right?
And then they get mad at you.
Yeah, the
thinking
anime
it was
club
their
is
idea the whole time.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're trying to take credit for this big movement that we started.
No, but like, I don't know, I was fine dicking around robotics. That was all good fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cause we had dumb trespassing stuff that we did, like going into the fucking auditorium when it was pitch black, and
That robotics class was just,
it was a fucking joke.
it was a joke.
Yeah.
It was.
Nobody...
It wasn't a class. I mean, it was a club. But like,
Well,
we didn't do
everyone
anything.
was so antisocial, like no one would actually talk to each other.
So this is-
It was impossible to get anything done.
This is robotics club, so this isn't a class. This is after school. People
I
choose...
did take a robotics class. It was equally dumb.
I took
Well, there is a robotics class too, but we were in the robotics club. So this is after school. People decide to dedicate their time to building robots,
Yep.
right?
It sounds
So
kinda cool.
obviously it's just going to be filled with nerds, and nerds are going to be antisocial.
Yeah.
And it's going to be run by the nerd antisocial teachers.
Yeah.
But the nerd antisocial teachers don't know how to be the boss.
Yeah.
So there was no discipline. I mean, they'd say, we'll kick you out, we'll kick you. I think I got told I could be kicked out like
Go
7 times. I think I got.
We
told
did
to
get
go home
explicitly
once.
told to just go home one day when you're
Yeah.
reading all this bullshit.
Yeah,
You're reading Time Cube.
Self-masturbation of the mind.
Yeah, that was it.
Google Time Cube right now and look at that website.
Yeah.
It's just this paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. That page goes on forever. It's like a blog, but he never.
It's just the ramblings of a paranoid schizophrenic.
It was
That's
the
all it
ramblings
is.
of a man who didn't understand time zones.
He didn't
Yeah.
understand time zones, but he knew he did. Is the thing. To
Yeah.
him, he knew he did, but he didn't. He figured that the Earth was
Own interpretation of it.
the Earth was divided into quadrants or something, and I have no idea how to explain it. But
Yeah, there's no
anyway,
explanation. It's rambling.
so the robotics club was split into different areas of creating
So
robots.
the people involved, and actually there was there's a mechanical team which built the body. There was an electrical team that hooked up.
There was a
electrical
software
systems.
team which programmed everything.
There was a CAD team
that made the designs for all the 3D printed stuff so that they could see the hardware they were going to build. And then there was the media section, which is filled with the people that really didn't want to do anything. But the idea of the media section is to promote the club and promote the robot and get people interested in it. Which so most of us were in the media sector of the robotics club.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be in that because I didn't want to do any work. I just wanted to fuck around.
I remember writing an article and people liked it.
Yeah, no, at times we actually did work. Like, I made the logo marginally better.
I designed a t-shirt and I made a spelling mistake and it stuck because people didn't
Oh,
find
yeah.
it.
I think the shitty part of that club is that didn't we meet on Saturdays too?
Yeah.
And like it kind
Met
of
on weekends
Oh,
sometimes.
that really sucked.
So we were in the media group, so we had nothing to do. So
I was in mechanical, but I think I spent most time with you guys sticking around in media because
so we were just dicking around on the internet the whole time. And we found this website called TimeCube, and I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm just gonna start reading this out loud because it's hilarious. And so, and just a monotone voice. No matter what anybody said behind me, I just keep reading.
Did I say I'll give you $5 if you read this whole thing?
Oh yeah, and so I started reading it.
But you did not stop. You were going ham.
I was doing what I was told, and I kept going, and people started getting pissed at me. Like, people kept coming up to me and like, stop reading that. And we got threatened to be kicked out, and that's when I think
No, but I
I
remember
stopped.
you also getting kicked out because you're trying. Photoshop a picture of Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting a shotgun like in a trap.
That was the most bullshit reason. That was because all I was doing, I was photoshopping a picture of Obama, of Obama trap shooting. So he had a shotgun in his hands, right? And I can't remember what I was trying to Photoshop him
It was
into.
into a picture of these SWAT people breaking into a house and pointing their guns at a wife and child, and the child like screaming.
So
That is pretty bad.
I mean, I don't see how it's that bad. It's pretty innocuous.
It's a PowerPoint coming out of family, dude.
Okay. Well, but anyway, the big boss of the whole club saw what I was doing and threatened to kick me out if I didn't stop.
Remember Ben?
Holy shit.
Ben?
The
Which one was
Bitcoin
Ben?
guy?
The Duke Nukem song or whatever?
Was he the Bitcoin guy?
Yeah, he was the guy that like said he had all the Bitcoin.
No,
No,
you're talking
that's-
about the guy who
that's a
made
different
the...
guy.
No, it's not.
The guy who gave that script for John St. John
Yeah.
to read, and then you made it into a
Oh.
song.
Oh, dude, I totally forgot about that. I really need to find that. Somewhere I have an MP3 file of, well, I can't confirm that it's John St. John, but it sounds exactly
He
like him.
I forget what
Somebody made a 4chan post saying like, type something and I'll read it for you, right?
Yeah.
So there was this kid in robotics that was a really weird kid, and he wrote some short story about everybody in the robotics club having superpowers.
I had
and fighting.
cryokinesis, that's what I remember.
Cryokinesis.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Cryokinesis.
I need to find that MP3 file because that needs to come back into existence. So there's an MP3 file of John St. John reading this crazy, fucking stupid, nonsensical short story about us having superpowers.
Potato babies.
Yeah.
What were your guys' superpowers?
That was
I forgot
mine.
mine.
Mine was potato babies.
I can't remember what mine
Potato
was.
babies. I
Yours
forgot my
was
superpower.
cryokinesis.
Yeah.
Cryokinesis.
Cryokinesis.
Yeah, he pronounced it wrong.
Well,
Well, it was
like cryokinesis.
yeah.
Like he tried to pronounce it right, and then he just settled on what he did.
Cryokin.
I don't know why I picked that. What a weird power.
I think he just made it up.
I think it was from Street Fighter or something.
Oh, because of Gil. Because Gil is in Third Strike, and he has projectiles. He has two projectiles. One is, he goes, pyrokinesis, and he says it every time he uses it. And another one is cryokinesis, and that's just anywhere.
Yeah, so we were in that
Everywhere.
we were in that robotics club for like 3 years, and I think after the first year we got fed up with trying to find something to do online that wasn't blocked.
Yeah.
So we just ended up wandering the hallways of the school, and our high school has two buildings, and in one of the buildings is actually connected to another building called the PAC.
It's an auditorium, yeah.
It's a big auditorium with a big stage and
It's
all that.
pretty decent.
Not
Like,
bad.
It's a pretty decent auditorium, yeah. And after hours in the school, they'd lock the doors to the auditorium. But the thing is, the doors had a little gap between them, so you could literally just rip the door open.
Yeah,
by
no,
pulling it really
all they
hard.
had was like shitty spring floor locks. That
Yeah.
normally you'd just be like, oh, door's locked, and we had nothing to do with it. But I remember the day we first went there, and we went and we were just wandering around, and we got to the doors, and we just like kind of we were like, fuck it, they weren't opening. And we walked away, and John ran back, ripped the pulled the door as hard as he could, and it broke the lock, I'm pretty sure, and it made this really loud, like, thudding, clanging noise.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of, like, sitting there dumbfounded at what he had just done, and then we all just ran in and hid in the bathroom that was in there for a while waiting to see.
And nobody even...
Yeah, no one cared.
Probably nobody even heard it. And so we're like, well, now we have access to the auditorium when nobody's here. And so so all the lights are off and it's pitch black in there.
It was really surreal. You couldn't see that far in front of
No,
you.
it was
Yeah.
crazy.
With all the lights off.
And we just dig around, climb up on the stage, just do random shit in there.
And then we climbed into the room, didn't we?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
so
There's
we did that a few
An
times.
AV room, yeah.
We did that a few times, and I think the second or third time we got into the actual control room where all the lights are controlled and stuff.
There was a weird USB with like
With skate
pictures of
videos on
people.
it.
Yeah, and on the desk with the control panel for all the lights, there was a USB disc and like SD cards, which was probably from film class.
Yeah.
Like people's amateur film stuff for film class, right? And so we're like, well, let's take these and see what's on them. So we just grabbed them and brought them back to a computer and looked at them. and one of our friends, Robbie, it was like one of his friends.
Yeah.
On this random SD card we found.
It was all skate videos.
Yeah, and it was just weird.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Well, I wasn't there for the second time you went in, but wasn't that time you guys like turned on the strobe lights and stuff?
Yeah, we turned on strobe lights. And there was actually a lot of different lights. Like,
I remember climbing on the catwalk. That was so much fun. And you had to step on a railing and then go on this other little ledge, and then you get on the catwalk.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Those guys could basically parkour right up onto the catwalk, which is like 20 feet above the seats. And I could never get up there because I was a little weak, pudgy boy.
Oh, that was fun.
I couldn't climb anything.
Robbie was with us too, wasn't he, a couple times?
Yeah, Robbie was in robotics.
I do remember though there was a hallway behind the theater that really creeped me, or the stage that really creeped me out because there was an exit sign, like one of those standard exit signs that was lit.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole hallway was pitch black because that was the only light source, and it was insanely creepy looking.
That was a really weird hallway.
Yeah, that robotics club was pretty fun in spite of the robotics club.
Yeah, I guess so. It wasn't really going to do the robotics club. It was just kind of going there and hanging out and not doing much. Like we would just like leave and go to the nearby gas station and get snacks half the time, and then just go back and chill.
Steal shit from the teachers' lounge.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't steal anything from the teachers' lounge.
It was outside of the teachers' lounge. But
so we were
right for the picking.
We were dicking around, wandering the hallways, and somebody.
I guess they were preparing. It was a wrestling like thing. It was for the wrestling team, and it was like a big, I don't want to call it a gala, just like a get together for them. And outside, a door that was leading outside of one of the teachers' lounges to outside the building, they had piled up a bunch of 12 packs of stuff, and
12 packs of coke and all that, and
cocaine.
And I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna take one of these. There's nobody around. I'm just gonna grab one and run.
Yeah.
So I picked up a 12 pack and bolted out the door like a maniac. These guys were like, didn't know what to do, so they just followed me out the door and ran with me. I was like, yeah, I just got away with murder, man. I just got away with a free 12 pack of coke, right?
Because when you're in like a junior or like a freshman, sophomore in high school, and you get 12 pack coke.
Yeah. It's not like now where you have a job and you can just go buy one. Which actually we could have probably done that.
Yeah, we could have just done that, but we're like, fuck it.
But it's the thrill. You need to do it for the thrill. And so I'm like, yeah, we just got away with this, and then we end up just crossing paths with the leader of the robotics club, carrying the stolen 12 pack, and we're like, oh my god, I hope he didn't see us. Let's get back to the room. We get back to the room, and he brings us aside. And it's like, there's a 12 pack of coke missing from whatever, and
or I don't know if he said it was missing. He just noticed there were 12 packs there and assumed we had taken it.
Yeah.
Which was the right assumption.
A correct assumption. In fairness,
he was
good
he was
deduction
right about
skills.
That.
We can't fault him for that.
But Jake lived right next to the high school. He lived a block away from the high school. So the lie I came up with was that we went over to Jake's house and grabbed that 12 pack from his house.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to say anything about it because we didn't know if his mom would be mad about it.
Yeah, we didn't want to make a big deal out of it or something to that effect.
But the thing is, I apparently sold it really well because he bought it immediately.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation.
Yeah.
He went from, you guys stole that, to, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just like that. And I was like, alright, okay.
God, we were pretty stupid, but that was fun.
Pretty harmless.
Yeah, no,
it was harmless. Who cares?
Just a couple bucks.
Yeah, really.
I'm like $3 for a 12 pack of coke.
Like I've seen a 12 pack for $1.
Yeah.
Like,
what if in reality there was one kid who really wanted that 12 pack of cherry coke, and we ruined his fucking day.
Cherry Coke was the best thing that they had there too, though. So
I'm a vanilla Coke guy myself. No, but what if
they didn't have?
But what if
Coke,
we went to the teachers' lounge and instead of seeing 12 packs of Cokes, we were like witnessing a cocaine smuggling operation? Why would we do that? We just leave and
grab some cocaine and run.
Grab a kilo and then just
grab a 12 pack of cocaine. Run out of there.
It's in like individually segmented bags in like.
What if in an alternate reality where all drugs are legal,
but all soft drinks are not legal?
Or, yeah, sure. But all drugs are legal and you can just walk into a gas station and just buy, like, cocaine or meth or whatever you want.
I mean, dude, they used to sell fucking yaba in, I want to say it was like Thai gas stations and Chinese gas stations. You know what yaba is?
Yaba?
Yaba is a pill that's a mixture of caffeine and meth.
Oh,
Holy shit.
like actual
Wow.
methamphetamine?
Yeah.
And there was a company that made this?
Well, I can't think of
Well,
a
there
company
must
that
have
made
been.
it, but they would like have it at gas stations.
Oh, it wasn't an
And it
actual
was a
product.
thing-
Was it an under the table thing?
No, it was a product.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was like
okay.
you buy like a bottle of it. It was a bunch of like shady third-party companies that dealt with it, obviously, but it was legal at the time. We're talking decades ago, and truckers would take it so that they could, survive the long periods. But then it became like a club drug, a party drug, and then it became illegal. That's so fucking creepy though. Caffeine and meth in a pill.
And now the
It's
government's
just danger zone.
now they're really trying to outlaw kratom.
Really?
Yeah.
Because kratom is it's an opiate,
Yeah.
but it's very very light.
Incredibly mild. Yeah.
It's incredibly hard to OD on it. Incredibly hard to get addicted to it. Really.
Don't you need to take like 6 of them?
I think it has a psychological dependence, but it does not have a physical dependence.
Yeah, there's no
Not like
physical
weed.
dependence to it, but they're trying to outlaw it anyway.
I mean, I've had it before, but I was like really baked when I had it, so I don't remember like any effects from it beyond making me like a little bit more tired.
The only time I had it, I got really sick from it because I think I took too much. I guess.
I always got
Even though it
pissed
was a
because you
normal
have to,
amount.
because you had there's
Well,
like
a normal amount is kind of a
whoever
lot,
had
isn't
it had like a bag full of it, and it was just this green powder, and it was trying to stuff it into pills was like the
Yeah.
most fucking annoying thing in the world. It's very very difficult. You get your hands like completely stained.
And it makes it makes your burps taste so bad. It tastes like you're burping straight leaves, but not in a good way. A really
I
bad
like
way.
leaves.
No, you wouldn't like kratom burps. Dude.
I eat.
That's what all the kids are
Leaves
doing.
off
They're
of
going up to
trees,
maple
dude.
trees and they're
Nice.
picking the leaves off and eating them. and
Yeah,
getting
that's what
high.
I do.
Kids getting high off maple syrup.
We need to ferment. We need to make a.
I mean, what if kids are
Liquor
just
out of
like
maple
taking
syrup.
straight high fructose corn syrup, like shots or something like that? Like,
Let's make maple beer. It'd be like mead, but with maple.
Like maple syrup.
Maple syrup mead.
What if you want to make?
if you just take regular beer and just mix maple syrup.
You guys want to see if we can develop the world's thickest beer? So it's just like a sludge, and you gotta kind of chew it. It's like Jello or some shit.
It's like a milkshake.
Jeez.
No, I had a beer.
Isn't that what Bailey's is? Isn't that just-
What did we
Irish
have?
cream, yeah.
Brad,
I had a Baileys today, and it was like that.
Brad, at the state fair, what did we have? It was like a beer, like frosty or
It was
some
beer
shit.
malt.
It was like a beer
Malt.
malt. Yeah, it was a malt.
That was actually really good.
It was
Yeah.
really good. I enjoyed that. They also had a chocolate chip one that I drank. It was really good.
That was great. I think when we went to the state fair this year, that's probably some of the most fun I've had at the state fair, just because we could drink, because we had 21 plus people.
Yeah.
Dude, drinking at the state fair makes it
It's
so
so
much
much fun.
so much more fun.
Yeah.
Imagine.
No, totally. We got to do it
Next year.
Yeah, I turned
I'll actually be
So I'll be
21 next
Yeah,
year
yeah,
for the state
exactly.
fair.
I turned 21 in a couple weeks, man. Or no, in a week.
I'm not even gonna buy a lot of alcohol.
I've been 21
Yeah, I
for
don't
2 months.
think much is gonna happen in my end,
I'm just.
but it'll be exciting.
At the state fair,
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get, because so much shit has alcohol in it. So many things. It's like the gimmick is there's beer in it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
state fairs are really best for little kids, not teenagers or like adolescent kids.
for little kids.
Little kids, adults who can
Though I
drink.
wish there were never little kids in the state fair. It would be 1,000
Yeah.
times better.
They should just throw those in a ball pit somewhere.
State fairs are supposed to be kind of like family
Yeah.
stuff, but adults and then old people.
Yep, and really fat people too, because the food there is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or-
well,
It's not terrible. It's
okay,
great.
it's not terrible, but terrible for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it is
Deep
terrible.
fried candy bars, I will never defend.
I can eat a lot of stuff.
Take to the stars to eat deep fried candy bars.
What is
As a
what is
kid
this
with
stuff?
a knack for the state fair.
Stop!
This
No.
is the theme song.
Fuck off, John.
State Fair Neutron.
That's his name.
State Fair Neutron.
Like his mom is like
Gotta
mad from his mom is like mad from his experience. He's like, State Fair Neutron, what are you doing?
It's a bunch of cheese curds and corn dogs.
I mean, the Minnesota State Fair is the best. It's there's nothing.
The
It's
dog
so
would
good.
be a bucket of like
State
cookies or
Fair.
some shit.
Yeah,
State-
Street Martha's cookies.
Yeah.
State Fair Neutron, his brain blasts or butt blasts, because it's just it starts out with him trying to think really hard and
No,
like,
they're heart
clenching.
glass. No, they're heart glass, and you zoom in on his heart, and you see all his cholesterol, clogged arteries.
No. So it's his
It
face.
builds up,
It's,
then it just bursts.
Yeah.
it's his
There's a
face.
rush
And
of
it looks
blood.
like it looks like he's thinking really hard, right? But then it zooms out, and he's just on the toilet, trying to shit because of all the crap he's been eating.
You can't because it's all fair food.
Yeah.
You can't shit out straight fair food.
You would probably dissolve your colon or something at that point.
I think the only way to do it is you need to vomit it. So if you need to have space to try, this type of cheese curd or this type of deep fried Twinkie, then you just need to eat more until you throw up, and then you'll have space.
Or we get like a drunk Jimmy Neutron, like a drunk Jimmy Neutron that vomits. So we just brain blast.
Jimmy,
like in order to think about how he's gonna solve a problem, he just goes on a binger for a while, and then
Dude,
isn't that just basically Rick and Morty?
Just gonna say Rick and Morty.
God.
Dude, here's a game theory for you, right?
Yeah.
Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty is actually Jimmy Neutron's grandfather.
Whoa!
What?
I was gonna say Jimmy Neutron in the future.
No. Jimmy Neutron. You know how Rick and Morty is alternate dimensions and shit?
Yeah.
Jimmy Neutron is actually Morty from an alternate dimension where Rick had more influence on Morty and made him smart, and then Rick left to go to his reality and left Morty/Jimmy behind.
And he turned his sister into a robot dog.
And it's not just a theory, that's a game theory.
Thanks for watching.
But think about it, what network is Jimmy Neutron on? It's on Nickelodeon. You shorten Nickelodeon to Nick. Nick rhymes with Rick.
Oh my god! Dude, that's confirmed.
That Pizzagate confirmed, dude.
That's confirmed.
Do you guys know what Pizzagate is?
No, I don't even know what that is. People talk about it, and I don't know what he's talking about.
So Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory regarding a pizza place in DC called Comet Ping Pong. I have read way too much into this and I care to admit. But it involved the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton during the 2016 campaign, John Podesta, and his emails got hacked and then was released on WikiLeaks. And people were reading some of the language on there, and I think in one email it says cheese pizza, though I don't think that's the case, and people immediately thought this meant child porn, and then this immediately devolved to the point where there are satanic gatherings underneath in the basement of this pizza place where they are raping and eating children. I shit you not, that was what people believe.
To give context why people would think cheese pizza means child porn, it's a 4chan meme.
Yeah.
Because they'd just be, if somebody wanted to find CP and 4chan, I don't recommend or condone any of that ever.
Obviously.
But if you wanted to do it back in the good old days of the Habbo hotel raids, you'd be like, you'd say CP, because you don't want to type child porn, because they think the FBI is going to track you. And people be CP, and then people are like, what does that mean? What does CP mean? And then the meme was that, it just means cheese pizza, dude. That's the context.
Yeah, so people blow it, and, okay. Not to be attacked by conspiracy theorists, but Pizzagate is not a real thing. It was essentially a smear campaign against Democrats, and specifically this Hillary campaign chairman, John Podesta. It was definitely a point of contention among fringe right-wingers and conservative talk show hosts, where they were talking about all these fucking Democrats are pedophiles and this. I mean, there was a guy who did a drive-by on the pizza place. Like, he drove his car by and shot at the place.
What?
And there were protests outside and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Protests at a different time, but there have been protests outside the place. It's a whole thing, whole Pizzagate. And then what they did when they realized it was getting debunked, they decided to move the goalposts, so to speak, and then it became Pedogate. And that basically, you may think, okay, that just relates to pedophiles in Washington or something to that effect, which there have been. Dennis Hastert is probably the most famous example. He was a former Speaker of the House who was convicted for child abuse. And Pedogate, basically, you think it was that. You think it was just investigating pedophilia in elite circles and the deep state and whatnot. It basically just became every act of pedophilia in history ever was part of this massive child... One massive child. This massive child abuse ring. And we're talking about people who would cite things back from the early 1900s, alright? And thinking it's relevant to today. But it was basically, again, just goalpost shifting to... So, nowadays, if you go on conspiracy theory forums, some people might talk about Pizzagate, but more people will talk about Pedogate, because that's easier to pass it off. And then if anyone says, okay, you're being ridiculous, they'll be like, what are you doing? You're condoning pedophiles?
Yeah.
That's the logic behind it, yeah.
So the people that come up with these crazy conspiracy theories, right? Do you think Do you think any crazy conspiracy theory out there is actually true? Because let's be real here, it's technically possible.
Well,
It's possible. I think there's a
what do you
little bit too
consider
much
crazy
shady.
conspiracy?
I think there's a way
Like-
too much shady shit going around JFK for me to think there's not something more involved. Not necessarily that someone else shot him, but I think there's just people walk on eggshells so much around that because there's the whole JFK file leak. But they've always been redacting stuff and doing all these things involving it, like they're trying to cover something up. You know what I mean? So that I feel like has more credence than other things, like we faked the moon landings, which I can't understand how you would possibly believe that.
Yeah, no one. But,
Have you ever seen the video of the guy, the moon landing hoax conspiracy theorist confronting
Busters?
Buzz? He confronts Buzz Aldrin and calls him a fucking coward and a traitor, and
Well, I
Buzz
think I did
Aldrin
see
fucking punches him.
Yep.
And Buzz Aldrin was like in his 70s at the time, and he fucking hooks him. It's awesome.
Dude, isn't it so fucking crazy that we got people to the moon in the 60s?
Yeah. Well, 69, which is basically 70s, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what that
Because
is.
back then, you
The
needed...
moon is really far away, man.
But that was even before floppy disks, wasn't it?
yeah.
They're like
They
$5,000
had
2
people
megabyte hard
in
drives.
for the first Mercury program, just getting people into space. They had like human computers. That was their job. They were computers, and people just did these insane math problems because they didn't have anything like that. But I think by the time that we had this like the Apollo program and kind of get on the moon, then we had like really early IBM cassette things that were programmed in Fortran or whatever it was.
4chan?
Fortran. It's like one of the earliest programming languages ever. And
But,
you'd have punch cards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you consider crazy conspiracy theory? Really?
9/11 or something.
Yeah, 9/11 probably. Or you know, the craziest conspiracy theory is probably people who believe the Holocaust didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a
What I was gonna say is like technically like Russia's involvement in Trump's like election would be a conspiracy theory, but that's really plausible given that
yeah.
I mean,
they
Their
want him to
whole-
win because that'll make the country weak.
Yeah, there's a massive investigation. I think anyone who you can't really deny that Russia interfered, but
Yeah.
that's not so much the question anymore. The question is
What did
whether
they
or
do?
not the Trump campaign had anything to do with it, whether people in the campaign coordinated with this, and whether or not
Yeah.
Donald Trump himself coordinated with this.
so we're in the information age now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And information is getting more and more easily accessed. What if at a point it was revealed, like people congealed all this information and data and proved that there was actually this huge conspiracy, like there's like the Illuminati or something,
The
right?
powers that be, yeah.
has actually just been forming modern society from the very beginning.
That's the thing. I mean, it's one thing to imagine that there's a secret society out there of like really rich asshole banking families like the Rothschilds and whatnot that are just wanting to become rich and powerful and control everything. And then part of me thinks, why can't there also be a conspiracy group that's trying to keep themselves in the shadow that is working towards the betterment of mankind?
Yeah.
Like, you know on the X-Files how they have the men in black, the people in the suits, and there's the whole syndicate and whatever, you know, like the cigarette smoking man. The thing is that those people, if you don't know anything about X-Files, those people were like, actually, their motives were they knew about aliens and stuff, and there are aliens in the X-Files universe. I mean, we're talking like the end of the first season, I think, they show an actual alien fetus.
Damn it.
And,
I haven't watched X-Files yet.
whatever. It's not that important. Those aren't the good episodes. That whole group was basically like selling humanity as like basically selling out humanity to these aliens who are going to enslave them, basically. But some people speculated that they're actually trying to destroy the aliens and destroy theirs and like try and act all buddy-buddy with these aliens to try and destroy them from within and prevent an invasion and occupation of Earth. So I wonder if there's something like that exists now, a counter shady, corrupt banking families that is trying to better mankind.
But can you imagine if it was proved that there's this group that was they
Like
formed,
a named significant group.
well, it doesn't have to be a significant group. There's just that there was a group of people and there is a group of people, or it doesn't necessarily even have to be people, but it's proved that someone or something was forming society and civilization exactly how they wanted.
Oh, like,
And
like the
John,
Illuminati. Yeah.
that's God.
God,
what do you think? If
he's
God
the
isn't
ultimate
real,
conspiracy.
what do you think all these churches are for?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly.
They're just
Exactly.
there?
Tell me that, John.
Yeah.
If God isn't real, if Allah isn't real, if the Buddha
Yeah,
isn't
and
real...
who is Jesus' dad?
I'm not trying to get too offensive here.
No,
So,
that's-
no comment.
No comment, that's good.
No, but imagine if people found out that this was happening. Like, it's our society and our civilization didn't just form by chance. It was inherently designed on purpose.
To believe in the heart of the cards, yes.
Do you think the world would go into chaos, or do you think people would accept it, or...
People wouldn't give a shit. They
Really?
still live their really... I think people would open their eyes and be like, wow, but I think other people would be like, okay, but
what can
you're
we
not
do
doing
about it?
anything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, they're just gonna be more pissed. I mean, they'll
Well, I
be
guess
pissed,
it's kind of the
but
argument.
they're still gonna have... People are still gonna have their shitty jobs. People are gonna still have their shitty lives and buy shittily made, over-expensive products and just kind of eke out whatever corner of the world they can to live in and make a mark on.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
I guess
who's controlling the strings.
I guess it
People are
probably-
still gonna get fucked.
It would just be the Matrix effect, where
People like they're willfully ignorant about it.
or not necessarily that, but that, okay, Matrix, but without people, bringing people out of the Matrix. Just humanity's trapped in the Matrix, right? But it's a virtual world that is a perfect copy of the real world,
Yeah.
right? But if you have no way to escape from that, and your whole life has been inside that, what's the difference?
Yeah, but what happens? But the question is not that people are controlling the strings. It's the question of, if you kill the puppet master, what happens to the puppet? Does it actually
Well,
are these
In
is the
literal
string pulling necessary?
in literal terms, the puppet would just not move.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like would society collapse as we know it if we didn't have this big influential group controlling it?
Yeah.
Or could we survive? And this big group that's controlling everything is more like a tumor that we need to excise. That's my difficulty.
What if
is
they
knowing we need to know exactly what the benefits are. And I mean, if there is a big, powerful group controlling things, then they would have been responsible for starting wars and committing horrible acts of terrorism that killed a bunch of people. Can we really condone that?
They'd also be responsible for all the good things too, like advancements in modern
That's
medicine.
the Richard Feynman Keyes problem. You know what Richard Feynman is?
No.
He was a really popular physicist at his time, and he I forget the name of the book. He wrote a book, and he talks about with every piece of technology. I'm paraphrasing here, but with every piece of technology, we have a key. We create a key, and the key unlocks the doors to the key both unlocks the doors to heaven and the doors to hell. That the idea that technology is inherently useful. It's inherently neutral. And it's what we use out of it. Like, I mean, if you think about it, we made rockets to nuke other human beings, and yet we use the same rockets as stepping stones to make the Apollo program to put people on the moon. So there's that. And there's also the idea of that we created these, like, nuclear power was originally created to be used as weapons in war, and we used them, but now no one would even think about committing a nuclear war. Now we just want to make nuclear power and harness that energy. So, I don't know. It's a tough question.
But also the thing is...
but real talk. If you could have one big giant person controlling everything, who would you want it to be? Like,
Donald Trump.
You think do you want it to be Donald Trump?
It is Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
He's there to drain the swamp, dude.
He's the president, dude. He basically, he's an immortal being, and he got bored, and he's like, I want to be the president of the United States.
God Emperor.
Yeah.
People fucking calling Donald Trump the God Emperor is the most obnoxious fucking thing in the world. Like, I'm not even talking about your political beliefs, okay? It's far beyond that. It's idolizing and worshiping a 70-year-old dude who just happens to be the president of the United States. It's bizarre, and there are people on the internet who... What's that thing on the internet where it's like a law where you can't... Like, it's gotten to a point where we can't discern whether someone is being serious or they're being satirical.
It's being ironic, I guess.
Yeah, like we've reached
it's
peak
being...
irony levels. There's an actual name for it, but I don't remember what it is.
I can't explain it. It's like being satirical or ironic without context.
Yeah.
Because without the context, you're just being what you're making.
So I don't
fun
know
of.
if these people are calling Donald Trump a god emperor because they believe it, or because they're just doing it thinking that makes them cool, and then everybody else does it as just a cascade sort of effect.
I think there's definitely people out there that just believe that the president of the United States their president of their country should just be respected.
Yeah.
That like that office should be respected, and the person in that office, if they got to that office, they should be respected.
Yeah.
And I think that's been proven wrong
Yeah.
with Trump.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, like, how could you respect a person like that?
No, you can't. I don't. I really.
If you're
Leaps and fucking
terrible human
bounds
being.
of reality, like fucking mental gymnastics that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Or we are seeing with Donald Trump. I mean, have you seen the fucking charts? There was an infographic I think is hilarious. Well, it's not hilarious. It's actually it's really sad. But there was
It's to the total opposite.
So it was a graph comparing approval for bombing Syria in response for using chemical weapons, because both Obama did it and Trump has done it. When Obama did it, it was like 30 to like the mid-20s to 30s for Democrats who approved of it, and a similar range for Republicans when they did it, okay? So bombing Syria in response for evidence of them using chemical weapons. Trump does the same thing. Democrats are in that 30, 25% range-ish. You know what Republicans were at?
50s.
In the 80s. In the 80s and 90s. People fucking idealize this fucking guy. We're not in the Republican Party anymore. We're in the Donald Trump Party. It fucking pisses me off more than anything else that politics has warped around the ideas of one guy.
Who's the head of the EPA?
Scott Pruitt.
And he's been actively against
Yeah,
the
he
EPA.
has sued the EPA multiple times before becoming the head of the office, and is slowly dismantling it, become more friendly to the energy
The head of
industry.
the EPA wants
How
to
the
destroy
fuck
the
can you
environment.
condone that?
The head of the Environmental Protection Agency wants to fucking use the environment
Yeah.
for
It's like Hitler becoming the president of Israel. It makes no
Yeah.
fucking sense.
Do you guys remember?
Well, obviously not that extreme, but yes.
Do you guys remember? This probably happened a few times, but we were hanging out last year during the election was going on.
Yeah, the
And
primaries, things like
it
that.
seemed totally clear that Trump would not be winning,
Yeah.
right? And so, I mean, I said this. I'm pretty sure we all said this at one point during the election.
thought,
Was
yeah,
that
there's
wouldn't
no
it be
way.
crazy? Wouldn't it be insane if Trump actually was elected? And it's a
And
reality.
then you kind of just brush it off like, that would never
yeah, that would
happen.
never
What are you fucking
happen.
talking
That
about?
would never happen.
We let our
And
guard down.
It fucking happened. do you?
what do we do?
Just thinking about the reality.
What
is
coin
just
flip
crazy.
occurred that, yeah.
It's just fucking insane
It's
that
the Russians.
it's fucking insane that a joke I said is true.
Yeah.
It's
really
fucking
fucked up.
weird. It's just fucking weird.
We live in surreal times.
It seriously feels like it's by its own episode.
I mean, I think it's just the consequence of the internet age. I don't think Donald Trump would have gotten where he would have become the president if it wasn't for social media in one way, shape, or
Like,
form.
can't you
Like,
imagine
no
a
way.
conversation like 10 years ago where people are like, guys, what would be the shittiest president? People would be like, I think Donald Trump probably would be a really shitty president.
yeah, I think if
Like-
you. Oh, we should do this. We should look back and see if we can find listicles from before Donald Trump even ran for president, and see how many times he was mentioned in those lists as a horrible president, a joke president.
Yeah.
Like early BuzzFeed articles or something like that. Now it's just trying to throw our darts out and roll our cosmic dice and think, okay, who is the next wacko president? Because
Kid Rock.
isn't Kanye West running? Isn't Dwayne Johnson running? I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about
Well, have you
Donald
seen-
Trump has irreversibly shifted the acceptable quota for who can be the president of the United States.
Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
Dennis Rodman is going to be the next
Yeah,
president.
with Terry Crews as president.
Yeah. In Idiocracy, Terry Crews is the president, he's basically Terry Crews in the movies universe.
Yeah.
And the idea is that this dude goes into a coma or gets frozen and wakes up a lot of time later, and the U.S. has devolved into complete idiots.
Yeah.
Because of, I guess, advertising and the news being corrupt or something like that. And so everybody hates water. Nobody drinks water. They drink Gatorade or something
equivalent
similar
to Gatorade.
The equivalent to Gatorade.
It's got electrolytes.
And the president is just some random celebrity. Everybody's an idiot. The world's falling apart, but nobody cares because everyone's too stupid to realize.
They're watering their crops with the Gatorade.
'Cause it's
I'm
got
surprised.
electrolytes.
I'm surprised more
It's
people.
what plants crave. That's what he says.
I'm surprised with Donald Trump being president, more people aren't mentioning that movie.
I think they have, in spades.
No, they have. I don't think it's in spades because I don't see it a lot. People reference it.
I mean, I don't think that like people who necessarily voted for him are idiots. I just think that they're foolish. Not necessarily they don't have book smarts, but that they don't have the common sense to realize they've almost in a way been duped into voting for him. Because he's not going to keep all his campaign promises. You think he's going to build a fucking border wall? He's not. Like, there's no way. And do you think he's going to like completely dismantle all the... No, of course not. There's too much bureaucracy that prevents him from doing anything.
Like, what if you told the people that voted for Trump, by voting for him, you're helping out Russia?
They wouldn't care. Again, that's the thing. People have shrugged that off. There are people who have gotten to the point where they almost... They not only... It's not about them believing whether or not Russia has actually interfered. Because I think some people, even some Trump voters do, they either don't care or they think it's a good thing. For as if Putin's helping us drain the swamp. That was one of Big Trump's messages, was draining the swamp. People like to grab onto something. They like to grab onto their idols. Like Donald Trump to them. Donald Trump is this guy that is completely shaking up and outraging people, and they love it because it's something they've never seen before. He's taking this political landscape of these people who don't have term limits, so they've been in office for years and years and years, and they've just been fucking with their constituents. All they're doing is power grabs, taking a ton of money from these rich lobbyists and all this stuff, and they see a guy like Trump and they latch onto it. And we see the same thing with the backlash to all this, or not backlash, but with all this like sex scandal, like abuse stuff going around. It's the same thing. People's idols are people have idealized celebrities and things like that. I won't deny that I really, really liked Louis C.K. And
yeah, I did too.
Now it's like that whole dream is shattered. But Donald Trump has done a bunch of horrible... Remember the fucking Access Hollywood tape? The whole grab by the pussy thing? Everyone thought he would be destroyed by that.
No.
He still got fucking elected.
That probably got more people to vote for him.
Yeah.
Because he's the outsider, and
yeah.
he's not bound by having to be politically correct.
He makes misogyny cool.
Yeah. He's just like me. Like he can say I can say disturbing things. He can say disturbing things.
Yeah.
I guess to some people he might have felt like more like a real person.
Yeah, these people need to realize that shit posting is not okay, especially not in real life.
Yeah.
All right. Don't be. I don't know.
Don't shit post Trump on your ballot.
Yeah.
I think the future of the world is. I think the world's just gonna get crazier from here for a little longer. At least like 10 more years of craziness.
Until they'll die or what?
And then until the people in the generation that had no internet, right? When they were young, they had no internet. Once those people die off, and it's literally just, basically generations of people who have always had the internet. I think we're gonna get more accustomed to, knowing about everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because back when there was no internet, even when there was just, mail, you could send mail to other countries or something like that.
Everyone lived in their own little world.
It was still, like today, if you want to learn something about, like Chile, the country Chile, you just Google it, and you can see instantly.
You can talk to someone from there.
You could talk to somebody from there. Back then, when there was no internet, you had to go to your library and hope they had a book on it. You had to maybe know somebody who could get you that kind of information. You'd have to wait weeks to get a letter, send a letter out, and then get a letter back.
Yep.
It would take so long to get this information.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that that's the information you want to know. But now with the internet, you can find any sort of information you want to know, no matter how menial.
From any viewpoint.
I think it's 45,000 petabytes of data are transferred in telecoms every day. Like that's an insane amount of data.
But now I think we're gonna see a dissolution in nationalism, because people are going to be more connected. People are going to be realizing that the people over.
I don't know, dude. I mean, nationalism caused Trump, and nationalism caused Brexit, and nationalism is what's kind of the fervor behind this whole.
Because people are holding on to that.
I mean, what's Donald Trump's motto? Make America great again.
Yeah, because
that's
the people
very
who
nationalistic
grew up
thing.
in that are holding on to it, like John said.
Well, I want to be clear that these are just my personal viewpoints and they're not facts in any regard. But this is how I think about it. And I think about, I know there's a lot of third world countries out there, and a lot of people who don't have access to the internet, right? But imagine a world where literally every human being on Earth has regular access to the internet. Right?
I would hate it.
But
absolutely
imagine how that would affect the world. People, because I assume back when there was no internet, somebody in the U.S. could imagine people in China. They could almost be racist about it, right?
Yeah.
They think Chinese people are backwards. They eat weird food. They're totally different. They maybe they're not even the same species. Like
maybe they're not the same species.
I mean, you can see someone thinking that, right?
Yeah.
But now with the internet, you look like a fucking idiot because everybody knows. Well, this is a very extreme example, but
no, I mean it makes sense.
You know what I'm saying, right? Is that people are realizing the people across the earth are people too. They fundamentally they function the same way, right?
Like there's kind of less to stand on for a bias in a way.
Well, that reminds me of what Mark Twain said. He said I had to look it up because I'm not going to memorize Mark Twain quotes. But he said travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And that's it's totally true.
And the next best thing to travel is the internet.
With the
Being
internet,
able to see human beings as human beings is actually a good thing, not just as images on your screen.
Yeah, and the internet, you can virtually travel anywhere you want, right?
Like that's the next best thing. Like,
I suppose. I feel like it decreases empathy, though.
It does. It's more empathy than reading about them on a book.
You want to talk about the ultimate empathy killer? Talk to me about 1 like equals 1 prayer type posts on Facebook, or share for that. I'm not saying that can't possibly help people by getting the word out, but I feel like that's an empathy decreasing thing, where you're changing care for another human being on the planet into a click to release a little dopamine in your brain and make you feel good.
You guys know weeaboos, right? They're obsessed. They're obsessed with Japan, and they want to live in Japan, and they want to be Japanese. You know.
I thought that was otaku.
Otaku, weeaboo, whatever.
You're probably interchangeable.
Call them whatever you want.
Yeah, sure.
Like these are people
we like Japanese culture, and we're Americans.
These are people that don't live anywhere near Japan, right? And they want to be. They use the internet to look up information about Japan.
Yeah.
And this can be for any country. Like you can maybe you want to be a Russian, maybe you want to be, from some country in Africa.
I personally identify as a Bulgarian. Like
I'm just thinking of the Japanese cowboy guy,
Oh yeah.
That was just a
whatever his name is.
That was
something rawhide or whatever.
But I think in the far future, hopefully we don't have an apocalypse killing everybody. If that doesn't happen, and the internet doesn't go away for some reason, I think eventually down the road, everybody's gonna. I think nationalism is gonna go away. That's what I think.
Well,
that's what globalization is and all that stuff.
What you were talking about earlier, like people want to hold on. That's what's happening right now.
It's reactionary.
People.
They cling to a past that never existed.
It's completely natural to resist change, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And people want things to stay the same because, I'm comfortable now.
And they do whatever.
If things change, I might not be comfortable,
They do whatever crazy shit to keep that change.
Yeah.
They
do this crazy shit just so they can plant a stake in the ground and say, this is my mark I've left on the world, is this crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know? Because I don't know about you guys, but I am nervous about becoming an older person and not being able to understand what is going to shift and the changes that are going to happen, because I know what's going to happen. It happens to everybody. It's the Grandpa Simpsons quote. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. And now it is something strange and confusing to me. That's going to happen. So I feel like people who are reactionaries and want to go back to a past that never existed, they want to really just plant their stake in the ground and say, this is something I can stand up for.
Yeah. And
even though it's usually just shrouded in a bunch of shitty thoughts.
There was a Reddit post about people's writing throughout history about how they think the youth of their time is a symbol of the end times, a signifier of the end times, because they're like, the youth is so corrupt, they're shortening language, coming up with slang.
That generation,
All they want to do is party, and they don't respect elders and stuff. And it's like this post from like 400 BC, and then like going throughout history, like everybody, all these people always complain about the younger generation and how they think, the next generation will be worse than theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are some things that really piss me off about modern culture. I think social media, a lot of shit that's originated on social media makes me kind of fucking sick and disgusted.
Like
it's just, I don't know, it's so tempting to kind of want to see the future. I want to enjoy this present I'm in now, but to see the future and to think how strange, like the way you talk about language, I feel like at some point we're going to get to the whole like Firefly /NADSAT like the Clockwork Orange language, where people are mashing words together, or like they're really shortening phrases and things like that.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think there's
or just the universalization, if that's even a word, of language, something like that.
Yeah, that's another thing I think will happen in the far future if everything doesn't go off the rails, is that there'll just be one language, essentially.
Or everyone will know a central language.
There'll be like, or I think that's how they do it in Mass Effect, isn't it? Like there's one language that everybody knows, so that everybody can communicate. Yeah.
But then everyone has their own native language.
And I think it goes back to what you said, like the internet isn't inherently positive, isn't inherently negative, it's inherently neutral.
Yeah.
It's just a tool. It's a tool for us. And what makes it bad or good is what
we do with that tool.
Yeah, what a person does with it.
So we can either shitpost on 4chan, or we can start entire charities on the internet.
I'm gonna
shitpost.
Why not?
Shitposting.
Fuck changing the world, man.
So much fun.
Shitposting is more fun. It's easier.
Yeah.
Holy you guys, we got really deep and existential with this episode.
Sure. I don't know.
It needs to happen, dude.
Oh, we should talk about that robot.
Oh
that
yeah!
fucking robot was so crazy.
Grant shared a gif of this robot that's humanoid. So is the idea behind it that it's supposed to like walk exactly like a human?
Yeah, it's supposed to humanoid, and that it's built like a human and supposed to walk.
Yeah. So the newest version of this robot can do backflips.
Yeah,
it can do backflips, dude.
It's pretty fucking crazy.
We have a robot that can do backflips.
And we're not talking about like a tiny little thing. We're talking about a human-sized robot that weighs obviously way more than we do.
We need to get that robot and then put what's the other robot we talked about last time?
See if we can do the Cuphead tutorial.
Sophie.
Yeah, we need to put Sophie's head on that robot, and then it's the perfect machine to start Skynet and enslave us all.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
This will be
That's
so
where the
cool.
world's headed.
Christ.
AI will enslave everybody.
All right.
No, because I keep bringing up Asimo. It was a robot that looked like an astronaut, and they had it walk up a thing of stairs, and then it fell off the stairs sideways. And that was like 10-ish years ago, I want to say. And now we're at this.
And now this thing is like, it's jumping up on platforms, it's jumping off a platform.
Dude,
It's jumping on a platform and twisting.
no-scopes.
Yeah, completely fluid.
Have you seen the one where it's the four-legged one, and the guy just goes up, and it's like walking normally, and the guy goes up and just fucking kicks it, and it's able to get back on. It doesn't even fall over. It's just like
stumbles.
Isn't that weird how,
that's
you know...
amazing.
So it's this video, right, of... It almost looks like an animal, but it's this robot with 4 legs, and he kicks it to test its stabilization, and everybody, like, Reddit made a big deal about it, and, like, basically as a joke, but being... Why would they treat that poor robot like that?
Yeah.
Like, they have empathy for it.
There's one where it's a guy, like a robot holding a box, and it's a guy with a hockey stick knocking the box out of his hand and fucking shoving it.
So, but when you see the video, it's not just a joke. Like, you can actually feel a tang of empathy just because of the way it realistically moves.
And it like stumbles and like
Maybe if like
there's
robots,
like that hesitation.
robots of the future who are like AI level smart, they look back at that and they see it as like lab mice almost, and it's like, oh, then we're gonna get Skyneted.
Well, see you guys in the future when we're all in the singularity. And
We're all just communicating with emojis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Emojis are the new hieroglyphics.
Oh,
people.
here's what's gonna happen. Robots are gonna enslave our...
I want a... You know how there's the Rosetta Stone that helped us understand Egyptian hieroglyphics? I want a future where we all speak in emojis, and then Urban Dictionary becomes the new Rosetta Stone, like a digital Rosetta Stone that helps people understand slang and stuff.
And then all languages based on that point is based off emojis. So emojis are an inherent part of language. Well, you can follow us on SoundCloud, which is our main home of operations. We also are on YouTube. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. We're on Stitcher for any of you podcast junkies that use that.
iTunes.
And we're on iTunes, so you can get us on your overpriced iPhone X's. So yeah, we're all over the place. You can follow us if you want to.
Maybe that's one good thing that we can get out of the internet, is that we can do this podcast and share it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, anybody can just pick up a microphone, put it in the middle of their group of friends, and talk about bullshit for 27 episodes.
But we encourage you guys to like send us questions, topics for us you want us to talk about.
Oh yeah, seriously, we answer everybody. Like, I don't care how many emails we get, we will answer everybody.
Because we don't get a lot of emails.
Yeah,
Please send us emails.
Please. Desperate.
Tell us stuff.
please buy a Casper mattress.
Please like and subscribe.
Please
like and subscribe.
please,
share.
Please.
Force your friends to watch. And have a good night. And remember,
don't do drugs,
thanks for
kids.
watching.
Don't do drugs. Fear the internet.
Fear the internet. The internet's a new drug.
The internet is more powerful than you.
It's like Tech War.
Good
The
night.
William Shatner
Bye.
book.